What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video from Pink Tourmaline. And today we're actually going to be going through an OBE account from a gentleman his YouTube channel is named Insights with Tony. Got to give a shout out to Sergeant Schultz who posted this video. Also, shout out to Tony Sayers. I actually saw Tony Sayers did a review of this video. Initially, I think I saw he posted something on Thursday or Friday, and I just saw the title, watched a little bit of it. I'm like, man, I gotta dive into this one as well, because he talks exactly about in detail seeing loosh farms in the astral plane, which is wild. Buckle up, because there's some very fascinating information in here. Now, quick caveat: this is my first introduction to Insights with Tony in this YouTube channel, so I don't know too much about this gentleman, but I do know that he has studied Monroe, Robert Monroe, and some of his teachings, which he talks about in this video. And he seems, I mean, he feels authentic, and I'm using my intuition as best I can as I'm going through these different sources. One thing, I was actually talking to some folks today who are able to excuse me, not astral project, but remote view, excuse me, that are able to remote view. And I wonder if the same principle applies with astral projection. I imagine it does, but we do. They mentioned to me that sometimes we have to be careful of personal biases creeping into things that we view in when remote viewing. So I'm wondering if that we have to take those same precautions when it comes to astral projection as well. I just say that because we want to be as cautious and conscientious as we go through and we analyze all these different cases, because they're not all the same and there are differences. So take everything you hear in this video with a grain of salt, but this is very, very interesting. This is food for thought. Obviously, you guys know where I sit right now. Right now, this seems like a very reasonable, very realistic theory that I'm exploring. And so that's why I want to share it and just keep digging and keep learning more. So without further ado, let's get into the mix. Insights with Tony. So who is this gentleman? He's got this YouTube channel. I couldn't find a website or anything like that, but I wish I could have shown you more. But on the YouTube channel description, it says this channel features my thoughts and experiences about my out-of-body experiences, my ongoing journey to higher self-awareness, life, and even thoughts on religion. Very similar to me, except I haven't been able to make it out of body yet. I welcome open-minded conversations about these topics. So by all means, comment and consider subscribing if you like the content. Okay. So without further ado, we're going to go through one of his experiences. And first, he talks about Focus 21. So I wanted to start with this quick introduction, then I'm going to explain what is Focus 21 according to Robert Monroe and the Monroe Institute.
I believe I found Focus 21, the area what Robert Monroe talks about, where you have souls that are taking a break. Essentially, they are chilling between lives. I ended up going there like at least 2 or 3 different times in 3 different OBEs within the same night. So this is my experience.
Okay, so that's what we're going to get into now. So what is Focus 21? We're going to go through the different focus levels first, according to Robert Monroe. So Focus 10, this is your mind awake, body is asleep. Focus 12, expanded awareness. Focus 15, no time. You're out of the dimension of time, beyond normal time perception. Focus 21, this is what he's talking about, the bridge between physical reality and non-physical reality. Now, I don't know enough about these focus levels. Obviously, I'm going to Monroe this summer, and I'll learn a lot more there. I don't know if what he's about to describe is exactly this bridge, because what he's basically describing, and you're going to see, obviously, as we get through the clips, is a resort type place, literally a resort, where it seems that souls are stationed right after they pass away, right after they pass away from this physical life, and then they come in and then they're kind of hanging out in this area. I think one of the reasons why he says they might be there is to recover and heal and recoup. But anyways, so that's the area that he's describing. I don't know if it's exactly in line with this concept of Focus 21. Maybe it's right. Maybe it is exactly. I'm just not sure, but that's what it says here according to the summary of Focus 21. And then Focus 23 through 27. This is the after death belief system recovery and planning territories in Monroe's map. I mean, very well, what he's describing could fall into that category, the after death part, right? Because he's mentioning these are a lot of souls after death that are hanging out there. So I don't know if it's exactly Focus 21. Maybe it's Focus 23, 24, something like that. But you guys can decide and let me know in the comments. Now, and so what it says here in a more detailed description, Focus 21 is not exactly heaven or the afterlife. It is more like a launch pad or gateway. From Focus 21, Monroe-style explorers may attempt to contact guides, receive information, explore non-physical realities, or move toward later focus states like 23 or 27, which deal directly more with post-death states, belief system territories, and reception recovery areas, right? So right off the bat, what he describes, I think, would probably be in the reception or the recovery areas, which is more like Focus 23, 24, 25, whatever. Just saying, but he mentions Focus 21. Just wanted to clarify for the sake of the video. Okay, now we're going to go through a bunch of clips. This is like a 33-minute video, but I've extracted a bunch of excerpts that I thought were particularly important to go over and discuss. So here, he's talking about interacting with souls in this place, and they just seem to be confused. So what I'm thinking is happening here is the souls have maybe passed on out of the physical body, and then maybe they go through this memory wipe process. And after they go through it, they're disoriented, and they're sort of then, which is why they, and maybe there is another loosh extraction, right? That was described by Intuitive Underground and also Brett Stewart, but that's just a theory. So we're going to hear from him what it was like interacting with these souls that seem a little bit out of it.
I wound up in what looked like an office area. This particular area had other souls that were just kind of, some of them sitting, like waiting for I don't know, like they had an appointment with somebody, right? So they had all of these people that are sitting there waiting for somebody to call their damn name and they can get up and talk or whatever. They called me over. Now I flew in and I'm looking at everybody else just kind of like just sitting and walking around. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, nobody's really paying me much attention, even though I'm flying. Like, y'all don't see me. I'm flying. So anyways, but apparently those particular souls were in a state of either they were asleep or on autopilot.
Autopilot is what he was going to say. Asleep or on autopilot. That just seems bizarre to me that they were sounding catatonic to some extent. So that's my theory. He doesn't say that, but that's my theory. Maybe it was right after the post memory wipe. Okay, next, he says, this is where souls. So that's the waiting room that he describes. Now he's talking about this resort area. And this might be that area, as I mentioned, which is the soul, what's it called? Focus 23 area, 24, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So we have to keep a mindset and understand that in areas such as area that I'm calling it Focus 21, but it's the area where souls are coming to basically, they're just dying or something to that effect. These people are, half of them don't even realize that they're dead, but it has to come off real, like a more than just a dream, but more, like a life that they had just left. You feel me? As a matter of fact, a large part of that area, technically it was a resort, but really and truly it would look like apartment complex.
It's funny, if you think about this whole system as a manipulation, when you're out of the body, why would you need to be in a resort anymore once you've passed on from this body? Why would you need, he talks later on about eating food. Why would you need to eat food, the same food that we eat here? It doesn't make any sense. So the entire setup of this place, when he goes deeper, it does go in line with the same idea that it's just one big manipulation to kind of keep you entranced, to keep you in this mindset of you're in a realm very similar to what you just left, maybe making it more enticing for you to go back. Okay, now you've kind of rested, you've recovered, but now we're going to send you back into the real deal with something you're already accustomed with, as opposed to taking you out and really letting you experience existence or pure consciousness as it could be in that realm, because then it might feel very foreign to come back. It might diminish somebody's desire to want to come back. I mean, this is just my interpretation, but it does feel very manipulative. Why would you have this setup in the astral? It doesn't really make any sense, because so many of the way the physical world is structured, with food, with buildings, all that, that's by virtue of the fact that we're in this physical type of system, physical type of matrix. Okay. Now here's where he gets into the discussion of the food. It just doesn't, I'm not saying it doesn't. Obviously, I'm taking this gentleman at his word. Absolutely. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that for this whole area to look this way, that doesn't make sense. It just feels manipulative, and it feels like it's part of this whole recycling system.
I could see a big machine that was taking all of it was like these plates and cups and knives and food that was essentially made, and it all looked the same. It was just, I don't know, like burgers and fries, but all of it was like the same. Like, I don't know how to describe that. It was weird, but all of the food that was made, it was almost like they were just recycling it and taking that energy to create more of the same food, if that makes sense.
It's crazy. Why burgers and fries up there again? Yeah, it just feels as though it's just trying to keep them in some sort of a comfort level, and maybe also preparing them to eventually return once they've rested and recovered. Okay, next. This is crazy too, and because he has this really bizarre encounter here with what he calls a parasitic entity. And I think this is a really important term, because many people have described potentially the archons or whatever, whoever may be in charge of this realm, as parasitic entities. Like, they can't manifest or create on their own, but that's why they need to leech the energy off of us. Brett Stewart's talked about this also. Max Spears has talked about the same idea, that they're parasitic entities that are managing the whole system. And obviously that's why they need us to kind of keep the system up and running. Also, he's going to talk later on about literally this energy, the loosh that's being extracted, is being used to float and power the entire simulation, something that's echoed by Intuitive Underground. But anyways, here's this really crazy interaction that he has with one of these parasitic entities, and there's a very positive takeaway from this interaction.
Now I'm thinking, okay, now he really is running away from me, him and the Asian guy. Now his features again were kind of off kilter. The ass was just too damn big, and just the features were just too, it was too extra. So anyway, so it lets me know that this particular individual, something wasn't quite right with him. He was quite possibly some sort of a parasitic entity. Sure enough, he turns into this monster looking thing with the teeth. Everybody runs away from him for the most part, except one other guy. And this other guy, I guess, was trying to fight him to some degree, but he made quick, easy. That monster type guy just kind of pushed him off to the side. He bit somebody else, and then, but the girl, now the young lady I was talking to, she was still just sitting there kind of like scared. So finally he sees me, and he walks up. I mean, his teeth were just like jagged teeth and whatnot. Now, I'm not a scary person, but that would have scared anybody typically. But in that state, I just kind of went with what my higher self says. Whatever it says, I mean, I just let it happen. And I just stuck my hands out kind of like this, nothing but death to keep me from it. That it was kind of like this, and my fingers went straight through his eyes, and this yellow stuff came out, and he just stopped. He was like, ah. And that was it. He falls and he's gone. So the thing is, in these areas, sometimes there can be entities that, and then they're all electronic. It's like a lot of them are not organic. They're not real. But they can do some damage if you let it. You know what I'm saying? They can suck up your energy and things like that. A lot of these parasites, they may look a certain kind of way, but what it's intended to force you to feel some kind of way, usually fear, because fear is a huge loosh type of way to get that energy. Is, ooh, they love that type.
My takeaway from that entire story is you just got to realize it's not real. And again, we've talked about this many times. Again, that's a happy ending for me in terms of, or a happy takeaway. But we've talked about this from different angles and different ways, but all saying the same thing. Why all this manipulation? Why all the lies? Why all the smoke and mirrors? Because ultimately the power probably does reside with us. Why the scare tactics? Because we have to be thrown off. We have to be constantly manipulated and subdued, because ultimately once we truly wake up and realize what's going on, just like he did, blah, and the thing fell apart. I think that's the truth. I think that's the true nature of reality, and we just have to remember that and not be manipulated or fooled. So I like that story. Oh, that's the other thing too. He mentions it's electronic. It's not real. Like that. I don't know. It resonates with me, at least where I'm at right now on this journey. You hear more and more people paint this same narrative that they're having to do all of this crazy stuff and to go to such levels and lengths to keep us in trap. Well, what does that tell you? It tells us we're pretty darn powerful. You know, another thing I was thinking about as well, even let's say we talk about when we're in this physical form. I said this on an Instagram video. We talk about being in this physical form, maybe having limited faculties mentally, whatnot. And maybe even in the astral, after our memories are wiped, our intellectual capacity is diminished, or just our general recall of events is diminished, and therefore that makes us less capable to reason through what's happening compared to these other entities. But one thing that I talked about on my Instagram video is that the biggest advantage that we have, even if they are 10 times, 100 times smarter than us, whatever it may be, is that we have truth on our side. We're trying to understand the truth, and we're trying to get to the bottom of things, whereas they're having to weave a lie. And you just think about, even on this planet, even if you look at the powers that be, we're able to figure out when, because lies always have cracks in them. There's always something imperfect. No matter how good or how intelligent you are or how well you weave this lie, there's always cracks. That's what's happening right now. People are seeing through all this nonsense. Even look at humans interacting with animals. You try to deceive a dog. I mean, there's magnitudes of differences in terms of intellectual capacity. Dogs are very smart. They can pick up on deceptive people and people that are trying to trick them into doing something. They have a sense. And I think it's that same, we have that same advantage of, we're truly just seeking truth and trying to get an understanding of things and push back a little bit. I think ultimately, regardless of the memory wipes or all these other things, we're going to be able to see the real truth if we really want it. I think so. All right, moving on. He mentions that this place, this resort, the reason for it being there, the reason for souls being in this intermediary area, Focus 23, whatever we want to call it, is to heal the soul. So to me, what this reminds me of is what Brett Stewart talks about, where the soul comes out and then it's like something is stripped away from it even after death, and more loosh is extracted. So and then maybe the memory is wiped there, memory is wiped after. So it's maybe in a bit of shock and maybe powered down. And so now it has to power back up in some sort of way so that it can re-enter the cycle and then be more food for whatever, a source for loosh extraction. Oops, I skipped it. Here we go.
It's for the healing of the soul, but then after a certain point, it's time to don't stick around. They try to make it so nice and pleasant for you to just stay there and indefinitely. You don't really want to do that because there's nothing there really and truly for you. Not even the food is like, the food is recycled. It is. It might look, pretty and enticing, but it's the same meals like over and over, and it's like
like, why is there food again? It's just it just feels like one giant manipulation. It's also it's so similar to the NDEs too. Same thing when you see Jesus or Buddha or whatever else it may be, or a grandparent, right? We have different experiences, but it's all there to comfort you. But Do you really need comfort, or do you just need truth? Like, let me get out and tell me what's going on. Tell me that I don't need to be comforted. I don't need to be, we don't need any of that at that point. So again, it all speaks to a nefarious intent. And that's why there seems to be these ideas of different realms or areas or people or whatever to try and comfort you, is just to lull you into a false sense of security and make you more privy to manipulation. God, it's crazy, man. I used to just love the NDEs and these stories of greeting this person and that person. It felt so awesome. And I guess at one time it did really it was clicking with me. It was making sense. Maybe I wanted to believe it. And now I just have such a different vantage point. But the other thing is too, it reminds you to always be thinking critically, because my viewpoint could still change 6 months from now, a year from now. You know, I was feeling so good about all the NDE stuff that I was learning, and now look at me. Okay, now this gets real crazy. He literally sees loosh harvesting, and I believe in this clip also pipes effectively carrying the loosh, transporting it somewhere.
I saw this last out of body experience. I saw the sand playground, I should say. It was an area specifically for loosh harvesting. The souls in that area, they were quite low in energy, and for whatever reason, I just see a lot of that type of stuff. Okay, but the key to this particular section was the fact that there were entities that were actively harvesting the loosh. Some people may call them sirens. They were pretty ladies. They all looked exactly the same. They were in yellow, wearing some sort of yellow attire that kind of matches with the sacral energy, self-awareness, that type of stuff. So anytime a person or a soul has some issues with self-awareness and whatnot, and who they are, issues with, that kind of thing, they are loosh, and that energy could be absorbed by said entity.
Okay, there you go. But there's a little key, right? We've got to become self-aware or do whatever we can. I don't know the answer to how to get there completely, but that's just a good tip that he's saying. If you're having issues with self-awareness, you become, I guess, a better food source. Okay. And now he goes into further detail, jumped a little bit ahead in the video, but now he's saying that this whole area is a astral plane loosh farm. Obviously, this entire planet theoretically is one big loosh farm, but there's these different loosh farms potentially in the astral as well.
So y'all, again, it's not about being afraid or anything like that. So that was a loosh farm surrounded. That whole area was surrounded by a red pipes. I always see pipes in areas of loosh farms. Okay, for whatever reason, I'm able to see that type of stuff. But why are there pipes? What are the pipes carrying? Well, they're carrying certain frequencies of energy. Red is carrying red from the root chakra, which is, it's going to be your passion, the rawest and most potent form of the split light. Okay, because it is split at that point.
All right, there it is. I mean, how wild is that? And he said he's seen this multiple times. I've never heard other folks and or at least not yet in other accounts talking about the pipes, but I do find it to be very, very interesting. Curious to know when I talk to Intuitive Underground if they've seen similar things. And then I think in this next clip, he talks about where do the pipes go. This is also fascinating to me. I don't know too much about how Saturn or these other planets are potentially part of the system. This is somewhat new information to me, but he explains that's effectively where he believes. I think it's speculation, though. So he's speculating that he believes that's where these pipes go.
The pipes can be different colors, and those colors represent the loosh in which it is carrying. I was carried out of the body one time by some guy that I thought might have been a guide, but I let him carry me, whatever. And then when I get on my feet, we start walking, and then I look at him. He was a black guy wearing brown. This particular area had brown, dark brown pipes, which is energy that is very, very low energy. Why did they have me in an area of low energy? What was I supposed to do with the energy that was flowing through those brown pipes? Well, of course, use my source energy to energize that whole area. Because obviously, we all have the power, but y'all know, I guess I'm some kind of a power pack or something to them. I don't know. But point is, those are loose farms. Where are they going? Well, according to some researchers that have come out of the body themselves, George Cavasilis, he says that it is going towards Saturn within a different dimension, of course, within the different dimensional space.
Okay, but that's interesting. So this gentleman that he's talking about, George Cavasilis, I have to look him up because I think what he's saying is he's also seen these pipes, and maybe he has a theory of where they're going. So that's fascinating. I want to find more accounts of OBEs and remote views, astral projections, whatever, other people who can corroborate these stories and these visions of what he's describing. Very, very interesting. Now, this next section, he talks about these different realms within the astral where the farming is still going on, and these souls are maybe stuck here. Again, trap might not be the right word. I said trapped, but perhaps they believe they are trapped, but they're actually not. I think, again, the exercise of free will is probably possible. You just have to realize, I think, what's going on and not fall for the BS.
Now, I just wanted to get out of that general area because it was very low energy. All of the souls in that area, just low energy, unfortunately. But those were souls that were trapped in a specific loop of a specific sort. And I would imagine areas like that are everywhere within the astral plane, in the lower astral, most likely, just everywhere. Probably billions of souls just in those areas. And what are they doing? The same thing that they were doing when in their waking life, except as a soul, you're still giving up loosh, still giving up your energy. That's what they do, all in an effort to uphold the higher realms, as well as most likely Saturn, the areas over in Saturn, according to Cavasilis again. I don't know. I've never been there. However, that is what is understood is that's happening, guys. But those higher realms, realm 5, heaven, it's also considered focus 27 from Robert Monroe's, what he talks about, where you'll see all of your family and all of these loved ones, and everybody's over there enjoying their time together and just having a respite. It was just a nice rest reset. It's beautiful, beautiful place, upheld essentially by the loosh of other souls, of course. And guess who's over it? Again, I'm going to say this again. The same entities, those angels and beautiful and pretty and all this stuff, they are over that area as well. But it's all still a part of the construct.
It's so crazy when because I think a lot of the NDE accounts are all in whatever he's calling what's called focus level 27, the beautiful astral, where you see family, loved ones, figures. It's beautiful. It's amazing. And you come back and you tell people about it. And so that's what's normally relayed. And we don't hear stories of, for the most part, of people going to these other areas of these other realms, maybe occasionally, but not in the majority of the NDEs that people talk about or are shared across, like, getting more views and stuff like that. But it does remind me of a similar structure to what's over here on the planet right now, where you have third world countries to developing, these developing countries up to the the first world nations, and maybe some of the things of the products or the labor happening in these other countries propping up these first world nations to have, you know what I mean? So it feels similar. And then same thing in the astral, we have this same spectrum of realms from higher quote unquote vibrations to lower vibrations, I guess, and then the loosh being extracted from these realms in the lower astral are propping up focus level 27. Why there's this structure, I don't know. Maybe that's again part of the system to always have levels and kind of keep people separated or souls separated. I couldn't really tell you, but we keep going back to that same phrase: as above, so is below. So it seems to be the world seems to be mirroring whatever structure is designed up there. I wonder too if they're able to extract loosh in the astral. What is the purpose for also involving the planet in this cycle? Is that part of the memory wipe? Is that optimize the loosh extraction to have loosh happening there and in the astral? I have no idea what the answer to that is, but I'm curious and I definitely have questions. I hope I can get those questions answered at some point. All right. And I think we are at the end of the presentation. That is all. Yeah, that's it. Those are all of the slides. Holy smokes, guys. Lots and lots and lots of information in this amazing account. Once again, I have to thank Sergeant Schultz for this video, but we really have to thank Tony, or Insights with Tony, who made that video. It's funny, this guy's name was Tony, and also I got to thank Tony Sayers once again, because I only knew about this video from Tony Sayers' YouTube channel. So thank you to everybody, and thank all of you as well for watching and commenting and engaging with these videos, because that's the whole reason why this information is getting out, because people are talking about it, people are sharing it, and I really appreciate it. By the way, I do want to mention we had the first members Google Meet today. Oh my God, it was so awesome. There were 4 of us in there, so not a big number, but but it was amazing. Regardless, it was awesome. We got to chat. I learned about some of the people that are watching my videos, and they have incredible insights and incredible wisdom and knowledge to share. We're going to be doing some really, really cool things with the live streams because of some things that I learned that some of the members know, some very, very important skills. So, well, you'll find out at the next big live stream next Friday what I'm talking about. But anyways, I digress. That's all I got for you guys in this video today. Wild, wild stuff. This gentleman going out, Tony, and seeing all of this fascinating information, seeing the loosh farms in the astral, seeing the pipes transporting the loosh, theorizing potentially that it's going to Saturn. I don't exactly know, but and the colors and the brown to the red and what those different things are necessarily carrying, why there's different colors. All of this is just mind-blowing to me and fascinating. I'd love to know your thoughts. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments, and we're going to keep on this journey. We're going to keep learning and keep trying to figure this stuff out. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.